Mommy wants actual booze. Hi, friends. How's it going? How are we doing? I need you over there, microphone. I need you to pick up all the terrible sounds over there. Howdy, y'all. Glad you're doing well. It's been all of like 2.5 hours since I've chatted with you guys. But we're back. We're gonna do it. We're gonna deadly premonition. Gonna have a premonition. It's gonna be deadly. I need everyone to not freak out. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine. Probably. I don't know what I'm saying. Like I said, it sucks. Because all I've had are these stupid shandies to drink. And I wish I was more drunk for this. But I'm not. I'm barely towing the line of being tipsy. And that's a little frustrating. But we're here. And I feel very full. Because shandies are very filling. But this is like my 5th one. I have a few more in the fridge. I just want something. I just want something stronger. That's all. But we're back. We're here. It's good. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. Are you excited? I hope you're excited. Oh boy. We are gonna have a great time. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm just happy that I figured out how to make this fucking game run. Just a little bit excited, just a little bit. I guess we should, like, tone it down, shouldn't we? I mean, we can't be that stoked, right? We're just here to hang out. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be mellow. It's gonna be great. We're not gonna get too invested in this. That's a lie. We're gonna get so invested. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm stoked. I'm ready. I think I'm ready. It's just me, like, putting off the inevitable at this point. We're gonna play it. It's gonna be great. I will say I am a little bit scared. I am a little scared that I'm gonna launch this and it's just not gonna work anymore, despite it working yesterday. Also, sup Isaac, welcome. Thank you for the alert. Music, I need you to not be that ominous. Thanks. Do your classes. It's important. You trust deadly premonition. Well, there's your first mistake, friends. I don't. Debatable. It's debatable. Nah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be exciting. I'm here for it. Oh my god, sorry. My neck is like super stiff today, and I hate it. I've been sleeping super funky the last couple of days, and not just like not sleeping. I always do that. I'm just, like, I've been, like, sleeping all twisted and weird, and so, like, I wake up and my hips are unhappy, and my shoulders are unhappy, and my neck is very unhappy. But here we are. Cyril, hello, welcome back. It's more me. Are you ready for more me? I'm gonna, you know what, I love me some Paradise Killer soundtrack. It's going away, though. You know why? Because I'm gonna launch this dang game as it makes all the beepy sounds and makes everyone just figure out what's happening. Never heard of this game? Oh, boy, are you in for a treat. Oh, hiccups, excuse me. What the honk? What the honk? Yeah, it's gonna be some weird dang nonsense. It's great. Just think Twin Peaks. That's all you really need to know. Twin Peaks with more zombies? Maybe? If David Lynch went the extra mile and threw a couple of zombies into Twin Peaks, I think that sums up Deadly Premonition. Do we want to watch this again? Do we want to watch this weird-ass opening again? I mean, Cyril's here. And she needs context. Yep. You won't get yelled at. I will give him like a little teensy push. Little itty bitty a skosh of a nudge. That you go watch it. It's very good.
It's dangerous to run around here, boys.
It wasn't a yell. Okay, it was a yell. It wasn't a yell directed at you. It was gonna be a yell to the universe. You should watch Twin Peaks, Cyril. I will watch Twin Peaks with you. In fact, I was gonna see if we all wanted to watch Twin Peaks this weekend. This fucking twins. As I've told everyone else, I've been drinking since the previous stream. Not a lot, though. Well, no. A bit. Quite a bit. I'm just getting to the point where I'm free. Oh, no. I mean, I will always rewatch Twin Peaks. So legit, whenever you want to watch Twin Peaks, hit me up and I will watch Twin Peaks with you. Fruity, stop. You're doing this just to hurt me. So it's the creepy singing lady coming in with her hide and seek song, and I don't like it. Yeah, no, 100% Twin Peaks date, let's go. Please? Please? Is a titty. Welcome to Deadly Premonition, where there's titties and Christ imagery. Don't know how any of that fits in, but I'm not gonna complain too much. I feel like I'm being like extra loud and my microphone is not happy about it. If that's too quiet, let me know. I did notice that there was like it was a terrible tinny sound in my earlier stream that no one pointed out to me. Why wouldn't you ever tell me? I need you to tell me when my audio sounds bad. It's just gonna be a lot of me screaming today. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. This is what this is why you're here. Let's be real. This is why you show up to my streams. It's for me to scream. I should have waited to open this one. Let's get sickening. Let's go. Also, I will not refer to this man as Danny Trejo. That's just who he is. Look, it's Danny. Oh, hey, Danny. It's not him, and it doesn't really look anything like him. It's just the mustache. It's the mustache and the cowboy hat that's really doing it for me. Also, these children are still just unbothered at the fact that there is a dead woman. An eviscerated dead woman on this street. They're just fucking creepy ass twins messing around with this ladybug, being like, oh, things are fine. Anna's just taking a nap. It's fine. They just vibing. They do be just vibing. They said that's how I mourn, by the way. Hold their picture up here and just go, no! I'm just recycling jokes from the last time. We're pretending the last time didn't happen, but we know. We all know it did. When the game ran at 3 frames a second. Oof. Like I said, it should be better now. I really do be wanting someone to fall on that statue. If that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be very upset. Why is everyone so sad? Go do it! yourself. We'll be here. Happy hair washing. Alright, let's go. Let's do this. God, if my shoulders could stop hurting, that would be awesome. Are we ready? Check it out. Menu's already better. Hell yeah. Alright, we will start a new game just because we didn't get very far last time, and I would like to watch the entire opening without interrupting. That does mean we gotta listen to this kid hum Amazing Grace again, though, and I'm not sure I'm about that life. Do be wanting that teddy, though. Oh my goodness.
I want to hear another story.
Girl, you just got here.
Yes, of course.
This entire child destructors
You've
guy. I do
been
remember you said
waiting
that.
a long time for this, so
And that this is the same voice actor
about
as York.
a special
just
one?
sounded like an old man.
This story
Old
is
man
very
York?
strange and very nasty.
Old
but
man York.
Somewhat nostalgic. Do you think you can be a good girl and listen all the way to the end?
Is it a
Uncomfy.
scary story?
It might be, but it's also a very
goodness.
important story. If you don't want to hear it, I can
Because this is
tell you a
100%
different
what old
story.
men sound like.
No, I want to hear it.
Please stop touching
This
me.
way I won't be scared.
Will you turn on
Will
the
you
TV then?
turn on the TV then?
Leave the sound down like always.
Oh, there's the game getting loud again. Game, why you gotta be doing this to
Now,
us?
listen. This is important. At
I'm gonna
times,
turn it
we
down.
must purge things from this world.
I'm
because
not gonna hit enter
it
though.
should not exist. Even if it
Do
means
need it to not be
losing
as loud,
someone that
though.
you love.
Okay, okay. I just need it to be really loud for a minute so that we can determine. I don't get it. These fucking kids, though, these whispers. I don't know how to say. Hey, shit, what happened, Papa? York, same. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at all those frames. All right, let's do this again. Game is working. Oh, fuck. You know what I forgot to do, though? I forgot to do the Moobot stuff. I've just done it so bad. So many frames, though. Okay, well, Game Link is basically already ready. Content, though. Dang content warnings. Fortunately, I have right here. I did kind of plan ahead, at the very least. There we go. Alright. Content warnings updated. Good to go. All ready for y'all. Thank you, Emmy, for getting that updated list pulled up. Alright. Observe. A strange clock is ticking away, though the room itself makes you feel as if time has stopped. Observe. A doll shaped like a fat man. It has a plate on it which reads Washington State. I realize that the game is probably gonna be very, very quiet right now, but I would much rather have it be set. I'll just add this trading card to my collection. Why are there trading cards? Why are there trading cards?
Could you wait just a little longer?
These fucking kids!
This won't take long.
Oh, I don't like his face! Don't look at the trading cards or the children! Oh, the trading cards, okay. They seem to be discussing something, but I can hardly hear a word they're saying. Cursed fever dream, for sure. Door's locked. Alright, York, time to go home. It's locked. I can't go behind it. What are these kids even saying? I'm screaming.
Sorry to keep you waiting. It will start soon.
Blushla, new goodbye.
It's about time.
It's just
to get
Simlish.
started.
It's just Simlish. I can't. I'm not drunk enough for this. They're no thank
Zach,
you.
can you hear me? It's me, York.
Who else would it be?
you could hear my
Francis.
Could you respond?
Am Isaac?
Good. I thought you went to sleep.
If only.
Zach, don't be surprised. The crime took place out in the country this time. Let's take it
Nice! I'm here for
slow.
Curry.
Okay, Zach?
I'm always here for Curry. You should tell the mayor of that Electric Monsters town that you support him in his Curry ways. Jesus fucking Christ.
Sure, that's one way of looking at it, but it's totally wrong. Listen, they both need each other. It's called
Oh, I did
interdependence.
see that
They
Jen
both know
found
it.
out more about that.
Yeah, I know.
Wild.
He does terrible things to Tom. Nasty, even sadistic things. But that's
Is
fine,
this-
as long as that's what Tom
Is
wants.
this too loud for you guys, or is it okay?
He's always asking for it. It's his partner's job to fulfill that need, and Jerry knows that.
York does what he wants. It's not too
Well,
loud,
in the
okay?
Tom and Jerry
It's
show,
fully
they live with
okay?
each other.
Good. It's just blasting me out then.
Well.
That's fine. And I'm already yelling all
Well.
the time anyway, so, you know, whatever.
Zach, I can't believe the Bureau still can't get
I
me a
mean,
satellite.
it is absolute nonsense in here, but it's fine.
These puppies are making me go to another town in the boondocks again.
Well,
What are you
I'll be a happy
doing?
camper, even if it ends up being a waste of time. At the very least, it'll get me out of the cramped city for a while. Right, Zach? The perpetrator from the last case really was something.
I'm dying? Is
Who'd
this
thought
what
there'd be
dying
razors
is
laced
like?
under her nails? Crazy.
Because I'm pretty sure this is what death is.
Well, at least I now have a scar to show off. See this?
Why does he have
Got this when I
police
arrested
brand?
Catwoman wanted
Why
me.
does he have police brand cigarettes?
Don't you agree, Zach?
That isn't even his lighter. It even says no smoking. Pizza Grandma? Or is it the Arby's witch? Kind of looked like the Arby's witch, honestly. Why did those squirrels sound like monkeys? I have so many questions already. Thank you, Emmy. I'm glad somebody else noticed, because what? That's not what squirrels sound like. Monkey squirrels are... Really? I don't like... How is it on? It is pouring, my sir. Honestly, though, if squirrels made that noise, no. No, I live at home anyway. I don't leave the house anyhow. Jesus Christ.
Zach, there goes the civilized world.
Oh, boy. Check it out. Check out all those dang frames. All the dang frames. Do your cooking stuff. I'm gonna observe this toolbox. A rusty pipe. Reach. Long. Speed. Medium. Strength. Medium. Strength. Medium. Durability. Low. Never seen so many. I got a steel pipe. Beautiful. Beautiful. What's this? Okay. Tough luck. Have to leave you here, old buddy. How long were we together? Ever since I joined the bureau? I'm dying. I'm sorry, what? Toolbox where I keep my stuff. Take it. That's a heck of a toolbox! Take item out. Yeah? Okay. Can I equip that? Wait, I'm sorry. I have to pay attention to my food and my sleep? I'm not happy about that. I got a knife. Give me the pipe. Just give me the steel pipe. I don't want to have to pay it to that stance, though.
And let me see what you have. No!
Emmy, that's not cooking. What are you doing? What am I doing? Hey, York? There was nothing else in my toolbox, right? You checked on the food account. Okay. Can I... How do I attack? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Well, then can I attack this fence? Toolbox is just for dumping items. Ugh, inventory limits. Gross. Take it. Oh, look at the bandage. Okay, let's go. Let's just go, I guess. Okay. Wild. Bad sounds. We're profiling already?
Looks like we're being welcomed. Zach, I'll let you handle the meet and greet.
What are you talking about? York! What? It was squirrels! In theory. Or monkeys. I haven't determined which it is. Are those dogs? Right, he's just talking to himself. It's not even like he's pretending to talk to someone with like... A child. No, it's a dang dog.
Huh?
Huh? York, we got
Child.
The dog did die. That's a dead dog. Alright, is this the way I was supposed to go then? I just want to check out everything, you know? It's not a deer, it's a dog, it's fine. Oh no, the pixels are dead. What? No, it's mildly tragic. I didn't know this dog though. This game is so bad I didn't even know to be sad. You should have known, honestly. What is this? Can't see much through this fog. Path might be blocked from the rain. We should stay away from obvious danger. That's, yeah! Look, buddy, I know you're from the city. And I understand that, like, weird weather instances, probably not your strong suit. That's not fog, though. Fog isn't red. Oh boy. Does the dog have anything on it? So much for my hopes for a peaceful picnic. Do me a favor and stay sharp, Zach. I guess technically he is talking to us. We are Zach, right? We the player.
Blue.
Why did she say that so weird? I'm sorry, it sounded like she said blue. We're gonna play that again.
Blue.
Why is Kayshurrr broken? Hold on, I'm also gonna just turn this down a smidge. That's better. But yeah, welcome back. She said blue, actually. In point of fact. Okay. I didn't mean to put those in my... Okay. I got can of pickles! Pickle brand pickles? Yeah, that's better. Blue. In Comic Sans, nonetheless. Oof. Control panel for the power grid. This should give us the electricity we need. Not an expert opinion, though. Okay. Boop. Generator says, yay! Wow, we... The mood I'm in right now is Comic Sans. How are you feeling today? I don't know, pretty Comic Sans, honestly. Yay! Ma'am. I mean, this is one of those situations. Definitely not Helvetica. Lamia, I need to not break your neck when you're sitting under my... Oh, I should probably prepare to shoot. You got Mysterious Shadow! Jeez. Breakdancing. Quick weapon and draw with space, draw weapon and aim. I mean, I wish you had told me that earlier, because I don't think I would have gotten out of the starting area. Oh, wow. This...
Yes.
Yes. Do I hear more? Oh, we're all just, okay. We all just hanging out. Take. I got bandages. Yeah, he cheers, he shoots. Oh, wowee.
Great.
Great. Don't shoot her, she's just showing yours. I'm a cop. I felt threatened. Can't see much through this fog. Path might be blocked from the rain. We should stay away from obvious danger. Again? That's not fog, buddy. It's, excuse me, sir. It's not back Ben's o'clock. Yeah, this game is wild. Power is back. Bless civilization, automated doors. Come on, let's get moving, Zach. I'm dying. Oh, I don't like that. What is happening? Is this what having a stroke is
Been
like?
through a lot of crazy situations, but that one,
Why?
that one takes the cake. It's the first time I've been attacked so directly. Zach,
Ding dong, bing bong.
can you give me a logical explanation about what that was?
No.
Never mind, don't answer. Life is fun because of the mysteries. Right, Zach?
Oh no, I know. What else would it have been? What else would it have been? Take an item. These fucking lollipops, though! Is it supposed to be infinite? It's not supposed to be infinite, is it? Yeah, I would like to save. I've just been through some fucking shit, my dudes. Because they're puzzling! I'm gonna start moving like York in my everyday life. Something happens over there and it's gonna be... This is how I move in life now. Jesus fucking Christ. Hey, buddy. Headshot reward. Hell yeah. This run! Why are we like this? I hear someone stomping around. I hear multiple someone stomping around. It's so much rain. I was watching it earlier. Don't worry about it. Wow, whoa! I don't like that he can, like, teleport at me! Aww. 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 It takes like 5 minutes to continuous sprinting run out. Alright, good to know. Also, what are these? Why? What is happening? York's run is honestly the 3D rendered version of Hajime's run. This is how fucking Hajime runs, y'all.
Amazing.
Amazing. Hey, you're not supposed to just come out of the I like your ponytail!
Nice shot.
Are they related? 100%. It's confirmed. I mean, you don't learn to run like this. This is a genetic thing. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's just York. Amazing. How do I... Oh. Oh. So these agent honors just give me cash. Oops, all cash. I have unlimited ammo, but only 9 shots at the moment. Take. understanding that correctly, bottom right is how much I am carrying. Top right is what I've got for equipped. I mean, sure, it's trash, but like, it works now. I'm gonna use it now. York, please. Well, that generator's all sorts of fucked up. Do we got any more pickles? What is this? Generator looks really bad. Zach, I think the killer really had a grudge against it. Originally took a while to kill anything with it. Oh boy. I guess let's keep profiling? Do I have to do this every time? I do be wanting that Borg though. Borga.
Huh?
Why did they explode into a gas leak? Reasons. This is how you make Pokemon, in case you wanted to know. I have to do it the last time? Okay, that makes sense. I'm just gonna do it every time. Zach, let's try to find a way to fix this mess. Obligatory find a fuse box in a horror game. Those are my footsteps. Okay. That's what it opens. Alright. Is this Pokemon Unite? Yeah. I'm gonna max out my York, and I'm gonna go mid. I haven't actually played Unite. I have sworn off MOBAs. I don't like who I am when I play MOBAs. See, I've heard people absolutely fucking love it, but like, I can't do that. I'm not me when I play a MOBA. Locked with a padlock. I should be able to break it if I hit it hard enough. Is that? Oh, hi! Hello! Bullseye. Those little groans! Gotta open it, York. Hello? You're here for that character customization? Yeah, I don't like how they walk. It's not great. Haven't tried it yet though. Again, like I've heard from people who don't even like MOBA style games that they really enjoy Unite, and I think it's just because it's Pokemon, honestly. I'm never gonna forget, Fruity. I'm never gonna forget. You can put a hat on my Pokemon? I don't know what MOBA stands for. I just know it's that style of, like, laned game. The power in the area should be much more stable now. Let's hurry ahead, Zach. That do be sounding right. Me living in the past. Hello? Alright, I already feel like by the time I get through this game, I'm gonna have to do, like, a super cut of all the fucking ridiculous things that is happening, that I am doing. It's gonna be great. Multiplayer online battle arena. It's easier to say MOBA, but it's good. Thank you, Google. Thank you, Cyril, for getting Google to do the work for us. What are you saying? Not the FedEx guy! Right in the kneecap. Oh my god, the sensitivity is so weird.
Bullseye. Nice shot.
So what she's doing is what we call moonwalking in Dead by Daylight. It's so the survivors can't see your red stain. They don't know what direction you're going in.
Bullseye.
It's how you psych a character out. Oh, the little whimper he does. Is there anyone behind me? I just keep hearing footsteps everywhere. Yeah, definitely don't call it that in a full sentence. I love to play a multiplayer online battle arena game. They're my favorite. Do you like any multiplayer online battle arena games? My favorite is League of Legends, or as the kids call it, LOL. I'm gonna stop now. I hate myself. Great. Oh boy, it's gonna be a stream. Stop coming out of the ground like a weirdo with your shovel. Snap. Stop! Stop! Why are you like this? Yeah, got it right in the ponytail. Are you gonna like fall, or are you just gonna... Alright. Okay. You just... Oh my god, they don't stop. Sir! Yeah, think about what you've done. We're just gonna go. I don't wanna keep shooting these guys. We're just gonna go. Hi! Ah! Oh. What? Investigation failure. I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. Oh no, I'm back here. No. My dude. No, but I don't have anything else to drink. I'm just gonna keep shooting her in the elbow. I just have these shandies. Only shooting. Shots.
Great.
I only do the cool kind of shots. The ones where I turn people into ghastlies. Let's go. Hey. I don't appreciate the fact that I can just hear these steps literally everywhere at all times. It's not the way I need to go. Let's just go this way. Hey, bud.
Bullseye.
Bullseye. Stop. Stop.
Nice shot.
Nice shot.
Amazing.
Why is York like this?
Nice shot. Nice shot.
He just gotta give himself a pat on the back every time he does it good. What a sweet boy. Okay, what was it? R and then A and D? I don't even know, York. You're right. E. Fuck, I did it bad. Oh. Wow. Wow. Ah! He's... No, no, no. No, no, no. This raincoat killer, though. I'm not killing him on purpose. I promise. Open it. I should have observed, but I'm opening it. It's a sassy lad, that raincoat killer. The like ropes. You got Red Ivy. I'm dying. Borger! I also saw some lady in her panties on fire. Wowie. Sweet sugary candy recovers a little bit of hunger. I'm only gonna eat lollipops ever. That's
There's
it.
definitely something in this town. Do you feel it, Zach? My coffee warned me about it.
Yesterday morning, the milk I
What?
poured in my coffee made a sign. It said, "Tomorrow you'll arrive in a place that will change your fate."
I don't there's no way the dev team hadn't seen Twin Peaks. There's absolutely no way. I refuse to believe. Apparently that's where I'm going. I'm just gonna run there? I'm gonna get this first. This agent honor. It's important. What do you mean you love? I'm having a great time. I hope everyone else is as well. Yeah, oh boy, that stamina bar. It just goes on, doesn't it? What happens when I like do it all the way? I'm not gonna let his heart explode, but like, but what if I did? Sugar donut. This is a game, ma'am.
Now you were very late.
He walks slowly for the next 10 minutes. It's a valid question, Cyril, but what if I did?
Rain for so long.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan.
FBI
Please,
Special
just call me
Agent.
York. That's what everyone calls me.
Agent York?
Good, that's good. Are you the sheriff?
No, I'm Deputy Sheriff Emily Wyatt. George, he's the sheriff. He went looking for you, actually. He should be back soon.
I see.
If
I'm
you don't mind me
dead.
asking, did you walk all the way here?
Yes.
My car broke down, that's all.
Broke down? I also like how the water is just a void. Are we just having a moment? Are we having a moment?
She's easy on the eyes. Definitely worth a trip to the primitive world.
By the way, don't mention anything about what happened back there. She'll think you're a psycho.
I think she thinks that anyway.
Hey, Zach.
Welcome to Greenvale.
We legit just had like a full
George
minute there
Woodman.
of York
Call me
standing
George.
there being like, and then Emily just staring at him. Also, sup, George? It's Danny
FBI
Trejo,
Special
y'all.
Agent Francis York Morgan. Please. just
FBI
call me
Special
York.
Agent.
That's what everyone calls me.
Could you tell me why the FBI is so interested in a small-town homicide?
Let's just say it's a personal interest in killers of young women. I'm always looking for new sample
Don't
cases.
look at her while you say that, you fucking
Both our
weirdo.
superiors practice with each other. You can remain in command. You don't have a problem with this, do you?
No. No problem. Just want to set things straight.
I feel like he
Our
has a
small
problem.
town has its share of problems. I'm the one fixing them one by one and maintaining peace and order. You can have your profiling sample, but I need you to understand that.
Of course. Of course. By the way, George, I had a little accident with my car. Could you send someone to take care of it? Oh, and my clothes and luggage are still inside.
All right. Don't worry. I'll get my assistant Thomas to take care of it.
I'm trying to process everything.
Do you need anything else?
My car is upside down and on the fire. It was a little accident. Don't worry about it. I ran into the Arby's witch. It was a whole thing. Just it's fine.
On your investigation.
Don't know how to say that. We really don't need your help. Unlike some of your corrupt city police officers, I play it by the book. I hope you'll come to appreciate that, Agent Morgan. And we'll handle the investigation. You just think of this as a vacation. Take it easy. Enjoy the nature here. You don't have to be a tree worshiper to appreciate the wildlife here.
I don't want to appreciate the wildlife, considering your squirrels are actually just
Let's
monkeys.
reassess the situation. There are no cavemen here. We're as far forward as the Middle Ages. And we've just met the king.
York, I'm gonna need you to not say that out loud, okay? I'm dying. Dying. Ooh. Beautiful. This is beautiful. This is a thing. Oh boy, I need to move my fan so it's pointing more towards me. It's warm as shit up here. Fan, I need you to work harder, okay? Also, it's a Devo. There's a Devo back here. Sweet little boy. Sleepy little lump. Alright. Star of the channel. Devo. The little squeaks. No, stay up there. Oh, nope, I've woken you up. I have made a mistake. Do you want to come here? Come in. Oh my god, you're such a child. A big chunky child. You're also very warm and I don't like it. Are you gonna get down? Please don't claw me. That's the last thing I need. Are you actually gonna sit still in my lap or are you gonna cause a problem? So I'll let you sit here if you'll actually sit here. Alright? This is a problem because I meant to grab another beer while I was up, and I did not. Alright, well. It's not Lamia, though. It's Devo. Yeah. Do you want to say hello? Say hello, Devo. Devo, say hi! Mwah. It's two voids. It's hard to tell the difference between them sometimes. But also, hi, Chew! How's it going? He's very happy, actually. Oh, I need to pay attention. Oh, look, it's the bad child again.
I've been using that one for a long time.
Why
I've been
didn't you get
using
it
that
repaired?
for a
This
long
TV is
time.
important to you, right?
It is the bad
It's
child
got
again.
some memories attached to it, sure. I used to watch
No more
movies on this thing with your
That's
grandma
great. I'm very
all the
happy
time.
for you.
Grandma liked movies?
Of course
This
she
is
did.
our grandchild?
Everyone loves movies, right?
Excuse me?
I
York
love movies,
fucks?
too. I've never been to a movie theater, though.
Loves movies. Oh no. Angel Isaac! I know that's not how you say it, but that's how I'm gonna be saying it. I realize it's Isaac, but it's Isaac! Did I spook you? I'm sorry, bud. TV broken! Broken TV! Alright, Devo, I'm sorry. You do be gotten to get up, because I gotta get another beer, okay? Okay, can you say goodbye? Say goodbye, Devo. Say goodbye! No, don't lick me. Be gone. Be gone, child! Oh damn, I still got a mics in here. Oh my god. This one is basically empty. Hang on a second. Whew, okay. That's one beer down on stream. Let's go! Open the door. Ouch. Why are you so hard to open? Oh my goodness. Alright, so this is a game. Trying to process everything that they've already thrown at us is a lot. It's fine.
York!
Who the fuck are you? Okay. Shoot it, York.
Don't breathe. Hold your breath. They can't see you if you hold your breath.
How does that work?
Hurry. Like this. Cover your mouth.
My dumbass was definitely like about to try to do that. Left control. Okay, but what if I let go right now? Look at this juggalo looking motherfucker over here with no teeth. Just a gaping maw. He's gonna touch you! Keep going! I don't want to hold this button anymore! This is needlessly dramatic! Why? Why is this a mechanic? Oh my goodness. I do vaguely remember seeing it on the list of like controls when I was trying to figure stuff out. I just... Why? Why? That is a good question though. Who is this kid? Child, you have a hole in your head. What is happening right now? Oh boy. Oh boy. York, get up, you lazy bones. It's time to go. The subtitles are so bad. I'm trying to find like a different closed captions
Zach,
program to use.
the symbolism in my dreams continues to intensify.
But apparently I'm just very
forest of
hard to
red
understand
trees.
for all closed captions.
Carpet with red leaves, strange doll, and
So I
twin
hope they're
angels.
entertaining.
But that
at the
child
very
is what
least.
bothers me the most.
That child.
I swear I've seen him before.
A child.
I just can't remember where.
Is it you? York, is it you? Are you that child? You do
Well,
both
it'll
kind of
probably come
have
back to me eventually.
the same beauty marks on your cheeks.
For now, we need coffee.
Just saying. We need coffee.
Let's head to the cafeteria, Zach. I hope they have some real coffee. I really
32
need some
yards.
coffee. Then we can head to the sheriff's office. There's a proper procedure for everything, right, Zach?
Really need that coffee. Hey, you know that thing called coffee? Could really go for some coffee. Have you considered getting us some coffee? I can shave? I'm sorry, does this game allow me to grow a beard? I'm gonna give York the biggest goddamn beard ever. Taking a shower might help clear up our thoughts, Zach. But we're not gonna do it. Why? Why? Why is this game like this? I don't want to be a stinky agent, but I also kind of want to get back in touch with my hobo cop ways. I want to be a hobo cop. What's that? Take. Hobo York. Hobo York. It needs to happen. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna be Hobo York. I like how there are 2 save spots available here. Like... I'm sorry, it costs money and then they give me money? Crackers. I'm sorry, the crackers cost $35? No, I want to leave. Those better be some fancy ass crackers. What the hell? That
Good
woman.
morning, Mr. Morgan. Your breakfast is ready for you.
Her waddle!
Thank you, Mrs.
Polly Oxford. Just Polly is fine.
Well then,
How much could it be, Michael?
thank you, Polly.
$35?
I'm
It's
starving.
1 banana! What is she doing? Oh
Is
no,
everything
hello!
all right, Mr. Morgan?
Why are we sitting so far apart?
Yes, it's delicious, Polly. My compliments to the chef.
I'm hoping my cooking will bring back repeat guests.
So you're the chef.
Honestly, though, it's been a while since anyone has stayed here.
I couldn't help
What
but
is
notice.
she doing?
Aside from you and me, there seems to be no other guests or workers around.
What's that? The salt's in that white shaker there.
Thank you. I was wondering if there were any other guests or workers here.
Oh, no, no
Now?
one else.
Now is when they start
My husband
wondering
and I
that?
used to run this place, but he's in heaven now.
You've been working here alone since then. Must be hard by yourself.
Oh my, we're all out of pepper. I'm very sorry.
It must be difficult to run a hotel by yourself.
Well, yes, I suppose. I could just live on my pension. But I have to admit, running a hotel is kind of like a hobby of mine.
That's nice.
Oh, you know, just
Polly, it
casually
might help
running
to
an
hear you
entire
better if you
hotel
could
in the
sit a little
area.
closer.
Just
Oh,
a
my,
hobby.
Mr. Morgan.
Also,
You're
Sup
embarrassing
Marshall,
me.
what the
So
fuck is
early in the day, too.
happening?
I think I'm a little too old for you. And
Ma'am.
I still love my departed husband. May God rest his soul. I appreciate the invitation, but I'm fine over here.
Polly, I can hardly hear you from all the way over there.
You're exaggerating. This is fine. If
I mean, I
we
know
all
it's just
come
Twin
together
Peaks, the
with such a
video
large
game, but I'm
table
just...
and cafeteria, we have to make
It's
use
wild.
of this space.
The music.
Now tell me, that wound
Is
on
that
your
an
face,
aggressive
what
kazoo I
happened?
hear?
Let's just say I had some trouble during the last case I was working on. I'm sure it'll heal. It's just a flesh wound.
Oh my, well, there's no need to be the tough guy here. I want you to be able to relax here. I've prepared a special room for you. A famous rock star once stayed in the same room, you know.
Really? I feel honored.
If you need anything at all, just let me know. I'll help you out in any way I can.
Zach, the lady is offering to help. Do you want to go straight out the town?
I guess. Yeah,
Say,
sure.
Polly, what can you tell
Let's
me
just
about this
continue
town?
to yell over
Well,
this
let me
table.
see. You might know this already, but the town is called
Oh, it's the
Greenvale.
main music
It rains
menu.
here quite
Or main
often,
menu
but
music.
it's a nice place, surrounded with nature. It was a big and prospering lumber town until not so long ago. We used to have a population of over
God.
6,000 people. Less than a tenth of them left now. This hotel was built back then. We saw plenty of guests in those days.
That's why this place is so big for such a small community.
I have so many fond memories from back then. I
Oh,
suppose the clock on the
boy.
community center is quite famous too.
The clock?
Oh yes, it's lovely.
Oh, no,
It
absolutely.
rings in
They're
the
all like,
morning and at
this
night
seems like
to
a
let
good
the whole
level.
town know the time.
And then they
You'll
all
hear
just
it many
slapped it together.
times
No one
during
looked
your
back at
stay.
it. They were just like,
It's
it'll be
a beautiful
perfect.
sound. And you'll love it too, I think.
I look forward to hearing it then.
Anything else you'd like to know about?
Yes, actually, Polly. Could you tell me about the shops around here?
Shops? Well, there aren't many.
The
It
change
is
in
a small
music,
town, after
though.
all. You can do most of your shopping at the Milk
I just want
Barn
that aggressive
convenience
kazoo to
store.
come back,
The couple
honestly.
who run it are a unique pair.
Hold on.
I'm sure you'll get to like them. The A&T Diner is a great place to eat. They might be open even if my kitchen is closed. If you want to go to a bar, there are two. The Galaxy of Terror and the Sweary 65.
Oh, no, I
don't
thought I
care much
muted
for either
myself.
of
I'm
them.
so
Bars are for the
sorry.
younger folk. We also have a gas stand,
Why?
of course, the art gallery, and even a gunsmith. You should be able to find what you need.
Thank you, Polly.
I hate everything.
Well, Mr. Morgan, I'd better start cleaning up. You
I
just take
hit
it
the
easy.
button.
I'll bring your coffee out
Game
in a
said
moment.
no. I'm
Thank you,
sorry y'all
Polly.
had to listen to me blow my nose.
I have to warn you, though. I am very particular about my coffee. The very best you have, please.
I understand. I'll be right back with it.
I'm just gonna die of embarrassment. It's fine. Are you just pouring that whole thing in there? Oh, God, can't apologize enough. Look with interest. What does my coffee tell me today?
Did you see that, Zach?
No.
Clear as a crisp spring morning. F.K. in the coffee. I knew I could count on it. Never fails.
Now, then, let's get going.
What? That is, if you excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee. Oh boy. I'm still over here just reeling over the fact that my fucking microphone didn't mute when I needed to blow my nose. This whole thing's a trip. If I just say that that sound was the video game, would y'all believe me? Polly. Hold on. There's a glowy thing over there. What are you? Check the weather. Today is a fine, clear day. Perfect day to have a walk. Good, because I don't have a car. Fills up your food meter so I don't have to start worrying about starving to death until tomorrow. That's a damn fine cup of coffee! Oh my goodness. I love this. I am here for this. This is wild. The pickles. You know, you go into like watching Twin Peaks. And even if you don't necessarily know what you're in for, you kind of already know. It's a lot different when you're playing it. It's a lot different. Our office is open from 9 to 1700. Don't be late. I'm gonna be late.
So we have King George to thank for preparing a car for me. A pleasant surprise, eh, Zach? Let's take it for a spin.
Yay. The movable controls. I'm scared.
I have to tell you, Zach, this place simply amazes me.
Yeah?
The keys were left on the front hood,
The
and nobody stole the car.
smiles.
Values. This town has what the country needs.
That pause.
Values.
Let's head over to the sheriff's department.
Excuse me? Nice to know I can turn my wipers on. I can signal? This game has car sprinting. What the fuck? Is it? I got a flare, okay. What? The beeping. I'm just trying to get a feel for it right now. This is wild. Is this actually the better view? It's not quite as intense as the Movable. It's...
So, Zach, about those bonus features in DVDs nowadays.
Oh my god.
You know, the ones from the 80s have almost no bonus material. Even if they do, it's a trailer and the visual quality is pretty bad. Well, that visual quality is a good reminder of those days. So many new audio and visual appliances were coming out back then. Do you remember the first video deck we bought? We bought it to record one of the Star Wars movies on TV.
Hold on, that was my turn. That was my turn.
We spent hours there, just trying to find a good
like
movie
this
to
better.
rent. There weren't that many to choose from back then.
I mean, York's got some
renting
opinions
three
about
of the bad
things.
ones after reading those back cover taglines. Hey, remember? Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Filmed in 1978. Produced, directed, written, and edited by John DeBello. It was really awful, but for some reason I still remember it pretty well.
I mean, they
It
do
had some
gotta
nice
fill up the
sequels,
time
and
of
the
us
original was
driving with
re-released in
something,
95.
right?
The 87-minute-long theatrical release bumped up to a whopping 90 minutes. But that was around the time I
Oh,
joined
look,
the
a
Bureau.
bar.
I never have a chance to see it. I know, Zach. Once this case is over, we can watch it together. I bet we can buy a copy on the internet pretty easily.
You know that newfangled internet. This car is bouncy. He's a crouchy old man stuck in a young man's body. I can see that. 100%. Here's my destination. I'm a menace on the road. Excuse me? Excuse me? A race across the road? Why couldn't I have just driven here? What is happening?
That's one fine building for such a small town. The exterior woodwork is spectacular. Don't you agree, Zach?
Races for a card, I think. Okay, I just went where they told me to go, and that's where they told me to go. This is a thing. This is a whole thing. Who's this gentleman? Why is Clint Eastwood on the Most Wanted poster back there? Absolutely, fucking do it. What, that run?
Pleasure to meet you, Agent Morgan. We've been expecting you. I'm Thomas McLean, the sheriff's assistant.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please just call me York. It's what everyone else calls me.
Very well then, Agent York.
I believe I owe you a thank you for retrieving my belongings from my car.
Thanks.
Oh, no. Just doing my job. Well, I want to help do everything I can to help the investigation.
Okay, but he's kind of precious.
I just can't believe Anna was murdered. She was such a bright and lovely girl.
Yeah, well, now she's dead.
Well, no, not really. But it's a very small town. I'm sorry.
He's so fidgety.
This is the first really big case I've ever seen.
It's like a schoolgirl getting ready to tell his crush
Can I have a look
that
at Anna's file
Yes, of course.
He has feelings for him.
The sheriff told me to let you through to the meeting room, but
maybe he just slept weird last
I
night.
lost
Who
the key
knows?
to the cabinet where the files are.
He's so animated
Why don't you
compared
take a
to
look
everyone
around while I
else,
go look
though.
Okay, let me know when things are ready.
Zach, Thomas appears to be the kind and sensitive type, totally at odds with the monarch. Almost a good setting for a cartoon.
I'm sorry, did he just teleport over this way? What the hell did I just see flash across the screen? His run was precious. Material room. Oof. I like the little look that York does anytime he goes and, like, opens a door. What are you doing, Thomas? Really can't seem to find that key. What should I do? Sheriff is gonna be happy. There's a Southern Flying Squirrel key holder attached to it. You haven't seen it, have you? Yeah, Thomas is my favorite now. It's official. Boop! Didn't even hit the button, buddy. But what did that do? Boop! Boop! Automatically sliding storage. Quite modern for a small town archives. Okay, well, we have to find a key, apparently. What is going on? Observe. This person probably has nothing to do with the investigation. They did it. They're the culprit. They're the raincoat killer. I just talked to Thomas, though. Yeah, I gotta find the key with the squirrel on it. I guess. I can do that. I can just open this? Have y'all looked at your security recently? That's 100% Clint Eastwood on that poster. On the top left picture? Yeah? Hi, Devo. Why do you cry? Desk for the warden. Is it even in use? Doesn't seem like it. Hi, buddy. There are things in here. Devo. No screams. I can sleep here. Good to know. Hopefully we'll be bringing in the culprit soon. Though that'll mean the end of our little vacation here. Is it a vacation, though? Look, I know the sheriff said that we could consider it as such, but I found the keys. Curvy-tailed flying squirrel keys. Well, I mean, no, that's not the kind of squirrel that Thomas said we were looking for, right? Are there multiple squirrel keys? Because that would be a problem. Oh, I can't open this one. Shame that. Alright. I mean, I guess I can go bring him back. I just don't want to do it if that's not what we need. Fruity. That's not the right key. I don't remember what kind of squirrel he said, but it definitely wasn't that. Hello, shooting range. Y'all a bunch of fucking nerds putting all these weird ass squirrel monkeys on your goddamn keys. Isn't a squirrel monkey like an actual kind of monkey? Or am I just making that up? Squirrel monkeys are a thing, right? Is there anywhere else they might be hiding keys from me? Emily. She enters rooms like I do. Ma'am? She's quite pretty. She'd look better wearing something more fashionable than this dull uniform. Agree, Zach? When have I ever called you Emily? When have I ever called you Emily? Why is he number 4? What are you doing?
George, do you work out every day?
Of course, Agent Morgan. Exercise keeps me healthy. I haven't missed a day since I started in high school.
Now that's impressive. Remind me to get more exercise, Zach.
But I can't do my full routine today without Arnold. I haven't seen Arnold around since yesterday.
Arnold.
Wow, Fruity.
He's a training buddy of mine. His partner Sylvester misses him too. If you see Arnold around, let me know.
Arnold
will
is
ya?
dead.
Can't finish my workout menu without him.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for him.
See, you'll know you're in trouble with me, because I will pull out the first and middle name. View list. Alright, let's... Can I leave this conversation? That's a mirror, not a door. Okay. Yeah, I gotta find squirrel keys and Arnold, apparently. Which something tells me that Arnold is not a person. And that's a little, disconcerting. I can't leave now. York. Alright, let's go talk to Thomas to see if I did get the proper keys. I don't think I did, though. I don't think either of those were what I needed. But I got them. Hey, buddy. Agent York, did you find the key? Is it this one?
You found the key.
I hope this is the right one.
You found a Siberian chipmunk this time, have you? Sorry, wrong key.
A Siberian chipmunk?
This species lives in northern Japan on the island of Hokkaido. They're actually quite a popular pet.
So it isn't even a squirrel.
But we're looking for a southern flying squirrel right now.
Southern flying squirrel. Okay. Was the other one right? I mean, it's a flying squirrel. Alright.
You found the key.
Maybe. I don't
That's the right
know.
one?
You're talking to me like I know what fucking squirrels are. The face makes me assume that I found it.
A southern flying squirrel. Thank you so much. I'll bring the files right in, so please go to the meeting room.
Okay, I'll be waiting
There's
for you.
3 other squirrel keys.
Well, Zach, we just got here and we've cracked a big case already.
I just want to see Thomas run around some more, that's all.
The victim's name was Anna Graham. Age
No, it's
18,
anagram.
she just
You gotta
recently
say it
graduated from
properly.
High school this year. Her dream was
Get
to
a
move
lot
out
of
to the
squirrel
city
facts.
and become a model. But for the time being, she was working in the A&G diner here in town. She lived with her mother, Sally, Anna's father died in an accident in the lumber
Also,
mill when she was a
Anagram.
child.
Her name is Anagram.
Her mother is unemployed and lives on the insurance money from her husband's accident.
You can shave
After
into
all,
the
it's a small town
washing.
with a low cost of living. Financially, they seem
Beautiful.
to get by fine.
But
and they
shaving
live
would mean I
normal
don't get to have my
lives.
good
Normal
Hobocop
life
beard.
is exactly what a curious teenager doesn't want.
And I need
It's all starting
I
to
need
make
my
sense
Hobocop beard. We gotta go full Hobocop. Eat that weird looking donut.
City folk, huh? No, I take that back. All of them can't be as bad as him, and some should have better manners.
Huh. This is a good biscuit. I've never tasted a biscuit this delicious.
Where
Where's
in
that
town can I
aggressive
get these?
kazoo?
Well, actually, I baked them myself.
Thomas, you're perfect.
That's amazing. What are you doing in law enforcement? I'm very particular about biscuits, I'll have you know. The balance of milk and butter
good
you've achieved
music.
here.
No, come
Agent Morgan,
back!
the autopsy's ready. You are welcome to accompany me to the Greenvale General Hospital. Emily, you come too. Thomas,
I
stay
just
here
want
and
the
tidy
aggressive
up these
kazoo
files.
to come back. That's all.
Yes, sir.
We're going to use the car outside. Let's get going.
That's
You might think this is just
all.
a small town police investigation.
Same.
But our inspections are thorough and solid.
Within
I'm
like
hoping you won't slow us
20 or
down.
30 minutes of like us ending stream on Monday, I like got it to function and I was so mad. But I'm glad that we got it to function. I'm very excited. I also need to stop drinking and like actually drink some water. I should probably drink some water as I think about this. It's fine. Oh, double hydrate! That turkey sandwich looks disgusting, by the way.
The Greenvale General Hospital is down the road by the
Excuse
lake.
me.
It's too far to walk. Come on, get in the car.
If I'm riding in a car, George, I prefer to be the driver. Can you provide a car for me?
What are you talking about?
Thanks.
You don't even know how to get there.
Okay, yeah, man
Which
juice
is
time.
another good reason for me to drive, George. I need to learn my way around town.
Oh, man.
Get over it, George.
Very well. Then I'll ride with you. I want to keep an eye on you.
Fair enough.
Man juice.
Just one thing, Agent Morgan. Your involvement in this case is limited. That means you don't have to learn your way around town.
George, we'd better get moving. The hospital
The
closes at
hand gestures
2100.
are a thing. They're definitely a thing. Oh boy. Alright, let's get in the car. I should probably not have my drink right in front of me.
Agent Morgan, get us there quickly, but drive within the speed limit. Just because you have a badge doesn't mean you can drive like a maniac.
George, what are you, his mother?
Man juice.
We just need to get
I
the
got it
autopsy
every
results.
time now.
Agent
I'm
York
sorry.
isn't accustomed to the town yet. Give him a little slack.
Oh my goodness. I need some fucking allergy meds. This is insane.
Well then, Agent York, let's get going.
Sure, sounds good.
The beeps, though. I can't get out that way. I have done this very poorly. What if I crash with the sheriff in my car? What if I get arrested? Damn. Okay, it's fine. We'll figure it out. I see a trading card on the map. What was that ding? I'll be right back, Sheriff. I see a trading card.
If you're wandering off, then we'll go on ahead. We don't have time to mess around.
I'm not wandering
Okay,
off.
I'll meet up with you later.
Agent York, the hospital closes at 2100. Please make it inside before then.
There's a trading card. It's important. Oh my god. It's right here, y'all. Look. Got Lily Ingram. Also, right? Magic FBI poncho. Surprise! I'm always prepared. They've abandoned me, but you know what? That's fine. Cause fucking ACAB, and I don't need the goddamn local cops breathing down my fucking neck as I drive like an idiot. I'm going the wrong way. Oh boy, is there a map? Oh, there's a big ol' map. Okay, but what's up here? What is this? It's a good thing the sheriff's not with me. Don't worry about it. Hey, look, there's a thing over here. Don't worry about it. It's a bone! Now we're moving. Now we're thinking with
Zach, is there
movals.
something here that you want to check out?
They told us to be there before 2100, but don't worry about that. Let's do whatever you want to do.
Left hand bone! I'm game. That's more than just a left hand bone. That's a whole ass arm.
Shouldn't I let someone know?
Doggo! I should return it to him. You know, give him a hand. Where'd Doggo go? I need to know so I don't hit the doggo. I'm dying. I just want to make sure that the doggo's okay from my car. What can I say? I'm on top of these jokes. I could, and hear me out on this, could drive into the lake. How about that? Would that get me there faster? Honestly, I was expecting the driving to be like 100 times worse than it actually is. Oh, okay, I can't go through hedges. Good to know. God, this is turning though. So slow. It's fine. We're at the hospital. Why? That sounds incorrect. Why does it do that? Cool. Good. Good to know.
Agent Morgan, have you no respect for rules and protocol? We were waiting for you, and now you try to go in by yourself.
Oh, George. I didn't see you in the parking lot, so I thought I'd wait inside.
Just
It's
watch it from now
raining,
on.
you absolute weirdos!
I don't like inconsiderate people who think that they're above the rules, and I'm sure I've made this point clear by now.
Calm down, George. He probably just got lost on his way here and rushed in. Right, Agent York?
I literally told you I didn't see you in the
Let's go
parking
inside
lot
then.
and went inside to wait. It's raining. What a bunch of terrible folks. Freckly Fiona. Wow, why would her parents name her Freckly? That's a
Hi there,
terrible
Fiona.
name.
We're here to see Usha. Do you know where he is?
I think Dr. Johnson is in the computer room.
A computer room? In a hospital?
Computers are important, okay?
Nice to meet you, Mr. FBI agent. The computer room is where our employees share a computer.
Very nice to meet you, too. I'm FBI
Not
Special
ghost
Agent Francis York
wolves.
Morgan. But how did you know I was FBI?
Easy.
It was the
None of the
poncho.
police in this town wear cologne. Besides, that scar on your face is the biggest rumor in town.
Rumors get exaggerated as they spread, even in the countryside.
Oh boy.
What's that you're reading, if I may ask?
Liar's House.
You haven't heard of this yet? It's a recent bestseller mystery. It's set
By
in the
Alan
US,
Wake?
a small traditional North American town close to the Canadian border. A peaceful, traditional place. However, that peaceful town is shattered by a terrible crime.
So
the
you're
murder
reading
of a
Twin
local
Peaks.
girl, and that incident causes grief and sadness.
So
to
you're
everyone in
reading
town.
Twin Peaks
But
while we're
everyone
playing
feels
Twin
the
Peaks.
seditious, heinous, evil still lurking, alive. Yes, much like the situation right now here in Greenville.
Fiona, don't say that.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. With Anna
Genuinely
dead and all-
though,
Don't
do we
worry.
want to watch some Twin Peaks
Books are written
on
to
Sunday
entertain.
for
It's
Horror
good you're
Fest?
enjoying it. What we're faced with here is a terrible crime committed
Or
in
just
the
in
real
general? Does anybody want to watch
world. Much
Twin
different
Peaks
from that
with
of a
me?
novel. So there's no need to apologize.
Thank you, Agent York.
I just want to watch Twin Peaks again. That's all. Alright. Computer room, right? Computer room. That's an office. That's a hallway that I just looped around in. Awesome. Fantastic. We love that. I see where I'm supposed to go. Kinda. Open. Open. I'm not gonna talk to the sheriff because honestly, he can eat my ass. I mean, I have also watched Twin Peaks many a time, but I need to watch it again. I just watched it a couple months ago, and now I gotta watch it again.
We couldn't
Gotta.
find him.
Fiona needs to check her information.
No, I don't think so. Does the doctor like playing games by any chance?
What do you mean?
Games?
There's a message on the computer, and a card key already set in place. The king passes the rook and meets the bishop. The knight takes a pawn along for the queen.
What does that all mean?
It's a simple puzzle.
Simple.
Zach, let's take him up on his challenge. You can do this, right?
No. I'm not gonna write it down, but I will take pictures. Okay. No! That's... Oh, cancel. King passes rook and meets bishop. Knight takes a pawn to the queen. King passes the rook? What? King, rook, bishop, knight, pawn, queen?
Zach, something is still missing. We need more clues.
I'm gonna stare at these words as I look around. Yeah, I'm gonna check the posters. Slow your roll, buddy. I need this fucker to move so I can look at the night poster. Move. This doesn't help. I can't look at him. Quite a serious character, though he likes to show off and is too eager to compete, which may be what it takes. No, seriously, George needs to move the fuck out of here. I can't look at them. Like, I can look at them and that's it. I can't... It's a book on chess among the rows of medical books. Someone here really likes chess. Okay, do you want to, like, take the book? I don't relates to chess pieces, but I don't remember all of the names of the pieces. If you look carefully around the room, you'll see the answer clearly written. I'm sure Zach sees it too. Okay, did I just like... Did I just like mislabel a piece? King. Rook? Bishop? That's dumb. Oh, excuse me. No. No, 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 no. Oh, I hate this. Okay, it's fine. Bishop. Knight, pawn, queen. Okay, wow, what a... His facial expression
awaits below with the deceased.
He's in the morgue.
Another code?
He's in the morgue, you
But
dummies.
there's nowhere to insert a password.
He's in the morgue.
Games.
He's
I'm
in
going
the
to get Fiona to
morgue.
call Usha up here right now.
No need, George. The message appeared with the card key. It's telling us where to use it.
This is not the time to be joking around, Agent Morgan.
Dr. Usha is below with the deceased. With Anna. Below being underground, I take it. Simple. Simple. Then it's time to meet the mischievous architect of this little game.
Nah.
I think I've had too much to drink. Just makes me angry. Not even, just annoyed. Guys, what did I expect? Cops are fucking idiots. No, I think I do gotta be stone cold sober for this. Which is fine. I can do that. Again, it's not even that, like, I'm not drunk. I'm just, I get annoyed when I drink just because it takes a lot to get me drunk. And usually when I drink, it's to get drunk. And so there's just that frustration of, like, gotta work so hard to make it happen. I don't do it often. Because it's just too much work. Game's wild enough. Yeah. How do I get downstairs? Where the fuck are the stairs? Buddy. They're behind me. Please, back. They're off this way? There they are. Found them. No, it's fine. And I'm enjoying the game. It's just... Y'all. These fucking cops, though. Where could he be? Fucking wonder, my dude. It's not like we're in a hospital where they have dead people or anything. Alright. Where's Usha? Where is this doctor? 32 yards away. I'm just gonna sprint. It's fine. That looked kind of morgy to me. This appears to be closer, though. Oh boy. Hey, you got any games?
Usha, sorry to keep you waiting.
Ah, you made it. Let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, alright, cool guy.
This is
Facial
Agent
hair.
Morgan from the FBI.
He plays chess only.
Nice to meet you. I'm Usha Johnson, the doctor in this hospital.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please call me York. Everyone calls me that.
Very well.
Emily
Agent
is
York.
embarrassed to be here.
Are you a forensic practitioner?
Let's just say I've dealt with corpses before.
That battle of wits, by the way. Did you create that yourself?
I
Battle
just
of
wanted
wits.
to see if our FBI agent could handle the task.
I see. Well, it was pretty fun.
This
I'm glad you liked
fucking
it.
nerd, though.
We don't have much time.
You're not embarrassed to be
We
here,
need
Emmy.
those autopsy
I don't know what you're talking about. Was it? Was it, though?
Next time, try challenging us without obstructing an investigation. You've angered the monarch.
Yeah, York's also a big fucking nerd.
From the onset of rigor mortis, the stiffening of the muscles.
That is
the
what
time of
rigor
death
mortis is.
Estimated to be between 20 and 2200 hours.
Oh my God.
That's still quite early for such a crime to take place.
Is it?
Note that there are 2 exterior wounds, pressure marks around the neck, and a long cut running from chest to abdomen. Blood marks on her right hand tell us she was gripping something round in her right hand.
Why are we all looking at our hands?
Her skull is also fractured, but that is unrelated to the cause of death. It probably happened to her after she was killed.
Dead.
Now, I first thought death by suffocation due to the marks on her neck. But
Okay,
after
well,
further
you're a bad
investigation,
doctor.
I now have a different conclusion. The direct
true.
cause of death was loss of blood from the wound.
Which means
She was cut up while she was still alive.
Yes, that is.
Yes, a sharp
Yo.
knife was used. It was inserted beneath the sternum and then quickly sliced downwards. The excessive loss of blood from her internal organs is what actually killed her. Her nails are clean, and with no skin cells from the attacker. She also doesn't appear to have been bound nor badly beaten. She was
Despite the
apparently killed
fracture on
without
the back of her
resistance. The
skull?
most tragic thing, however, was that she was unable to speak her story to anyone who could hear her cries.
I don't trust this doctor. I don't trust anyone in this goddamn
The
town,
perpetrator
actually.
cut out Hannah's tongue.
Well, I believe she was drugged first to phase her consciousness, and then the killer killed her. Now, the killer most likely has a deep, traumatized past concerning women. He
Oh, so now
probably
you're
cannot
so
converse
now
with
you're
them
proficient in
normally.
profiling.
Cutting out the tongue suggests a very lonely individual.
No.
Either that or a truly hardcore sadist.
This is all very debatable.
He must get off on watching women suffer, especially when they can't answer back. Now, he watched as the blood pumped from her body.
You don't actually.
As she gradually
No,
grew
Matt.
cold. Now, a case in Seattle in 1985 was much like.
Asha, please, limit your report to your findings as a doctor. Criminal profiling is my job. You're wrong, also. Anna died fully, deeply, painfully aware of what was happening to her.
But,
Why
Tell
is
me, what
George's face
time
all
did it stop
fuzzy? What
raining
was
the
going
night
on
Hannah
there?
was killed?
Just before I went to bed, right after the movie on TV ended, so around 1 a.m.
What movie was it?
Wowie.
An American Werewolf in London.
Classic.
Directed by John Landis, 1981. So the rain stopped, accompanied by the ending song, Blue Moon. George, would you mind if I examined Anna myself?
what more do you hope to find?
Literally anything, honestly.
I'm sure I mentioned that I have a personal interest in cases like these.
Why? age isn't immediately apparent, though he can't be that old. Looks like a trustworthy doctor. Debatable. Feet. Anna's body is lying on the table. Okay, that's not exactly what I was looking at, but alright. What is this? The symbol? Judging from the impressions, she was holding something in her hand, but it was removed around 6 hours after death. The object was circular with a relief shaped like a peace mark. I mean... Traces of evaporated liquid around the eyes. She must have cried before she was murdered. Is that... Tongue has been removed. Look at the edge of the stump. Okay. Beautiful blonde hair. Stunning, even in death. This is... Sorry, can we not describe dead bodies as being beautiful? I've read Parasite Eve. I don't need any more of that. She's neatly wearing fake fingernails. Okay. Wow, we learned so much.
From her lack of resistance, I'd say that Anna's injuries happened very quickly. Unable to speak, she was then left to cry herself to death.
She died from excessive tears. Sorry.
The perpetrator stayed with her for at least 2 hours until it stopped raining. At the estimated time of her death, it was still raining. But you can still see tear marks on her cheeks.
It's called makeup?
She was killed under a roof somewhere. She was then carried into the woods after it stopped raining.
There's one other thing.
Yeah.
Her tongue was removed with a very blunt knife. In fact, it's more likely it was simply chopped off.
Asha, are you a passionate man?
Well, not particularly, but I am man enough should the moment call for it.
George, how about you?
What?
Very passionate. Yes. Especially when it comes to women.
Don't like this
But
dialogue.
I don't see what that has to do with anything.
George, the perpetrator, is just like you. He's passionate about women.
George.
He's a
They are all
passionate
weird.
kisser. This was a kiss of death.
They all did it. It's a Murder on the Orient sort of
honest tongue
situation.
We'll never get a dental print from a wound like this. But this is still a big lead.
Oh my goodness. Alright, what's in her mouth? What do we got? Buddy, you're putting that down there. Seeds.
A shame, but our old-time all-American sightseeing tour just came to an end.
This case is now under the jurisdiction of the FBI. I'm assuming command. I'll need you to assist me in the investigation.
What in the hell do you mean, Agent Morgan? I know I said I was passionate, but you can't think I did this.
That's not why I'm assuming command, George. You're a suspect just as much as every other passionate man on Earth. Let me show you something.
Seeds, George. Seeds. He just keeps all of these little baggies in his fucking blazer.
There you go. Amazing, huh?
I'm gonna
I'm sure
pretend
you
that
have a
it
lot of
came from like individual
Most of the
pockets on the
details are top
inside.
secret.
Like each one has their own pocket that they go in.
George, Emily, we should be going. No need to stay here any longer.
Okay.
Just like a
I
seven
have to
different
sign the
pockets for
release.
these dang seeds.
Just give me a moment.
Can't get them
Very
mixed
well.
up. You're right.
I'll go on ahead. I can't take it any longer down here.
What the heck?
Bishop takes queen. His rook takes your queen. Then your knight takes rook. And checkmate.
He needs to leave right now so he can sew in a new pocket for this one. Usha's in love with us.
My first victory in the Grandmaster ranking.
What a bunch of nerds. Oh no, the hospital's all gross now. Oh no, no more QuickTime events. I am scared. That
Zack, they're
face.
here.
This is fine. It's fine. Well, we'll save. Because we know we're gonna do a bad. And there's nothing else that I need. So let's go! Everyone else is gone though! Oh boy. Anagram? What are you doing here? What a weird way to run. Also, don't run in the morgue. I don't like that sound. Got bullets! Beautiful. Okay. Just making sure that my weapon is equipped. What is happening? Oh, hi!
Nice shot.
Next shot.
Great.
Great. I mean, you're right. I'm not your real mom, but I have worked in a morgue, and I just wouldn't recommend it. It's not safe.
Great.
You might trip over a gurney or a rogue blood puddle or something. I don't know. You gotta treat it like a pool. What if you slip and fall? What are you gonna do then? Oh, meows. They're little noises, though. Hey.
Great.
There are a lot of rogue blood puddles in a morgue? I mean, when you're working, yeah? I'll say yeah. I've definitely almost slipped on a couple. But, you know.
Nice shot.
I also broke my toe on a gurney once. That was cool. Man. Oh my god, the sensitivity though. It's a fucking nightmare. Yeah, lots of farts. Couple of moans here and there. It's not that bad though. Stop! Stop doing the limbos. Anything else? I don't exactly know where I'm going. I'm just going. I hear somebody crying.
Amazing.
Amazing. Boop. Their sounds are so weird. They are very wiggly. Stop! Stop!
Great.
Take it. So wiggly. Boop. Let's go. It's not, they're honestly, okay, alright. Look here. Listen up. The little moans and stuff that bodies do, not that loud. In my experience, not that loud. I mean, definitely. Not you specifically, but in general, like, it's not for everyone. And that's fair. His grunts, though. But, yeah, they're just very quiet, and they're more just like... It's just like somebody sighing. That's about it. It's fine. It's locked. I need a key to open it. Can I know it says push, but can I pull? Cannot pull. Okay. Where are we going? I can smash them? Okay, but there's also stuff in here. Got black coffee! Can I combine that with the milk that I got earlier? Look underneath. Oh no. So goopy. I like how she has to turn around in order to limbo her way towards me. Like, they are required to go backwards. Alright. Let's go. Like, oh shit, I'm facing the wrong way. Hang on a second. Shoot him, York! Those are some sturdy boxes. When you think about it. It's true, it's dangerous. No, don't limbo in the morgue. That's a terrible idea. Why would you do that? I would 100% have to write somebody up for doing limbo in the morgue. That's not safe for them or for me. That's downstairs. That's not where I want to go. Did I? I did backtrack. That's a problem. It's fine. Oh boy. I would like for it to stop being so dang hot up here. It's miserable. I just want to share with you that it's extremely hot up here and I don't like it. Okay, that's the operating room. There's the door. I'm glad it cooled down there. It is currently 86 degrees Fahrenheit here. But it's also just miserably humid. And I hate it. But did you actually die? But did you die? No, any amount of time where you have to deal with extreme heat is not fun. But I'm glad it's a little better now. It's no good. Excuse me? I thought you were a skeleton to begin with. Look at how cool I am. Wait, this doesn't really look crimson anymore, but you know. Cool guy. I'm a cool guy. Take it. Take. No, don't sleep. Well, actually... Nah, we're fine. We're fine. I bet he do. So cool. Okay, can I... Oh, I thought that was me interacting with the TV, and I was like, oh no, dream children. Not ready for that again. Alright. What's over here? What's going on? We just ran through that door! Wild.
Amazing.
Amazing. It's the lady from the forest. My ma'ams. Come on. At times, sometimes it's super sensitive. Other times it's just like, nah, I'm not actually gonna move. Wowee. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Nice shot.
You know what? Did I... Huh! Yeah! Ha! What a cool guy! Alright. I just am... Huh?
Here! Over here!
I see you! I do see you! What is she, like 3? Dad, look at me! Look! Look! Dad! Dad, look at me! Dad, you're not looking! Look! Look at me! What the fuck?
Yes, amazing.
Sounds though. Are we just not gonna talk about the fucking noises York was making? Just the little cakes of the purples. I don't know that good is the word that I would use. But, you know, also what? Oh, it's the fucking breathing mechanic. Why does he look like that when he holds his breath? York! Why are you like this? Buddy. Buddy. Goodness gracious. Okay, is there anything else in here? I'm sorry, what? Oh, observe. Bed unit is retracted inside the machine. I can see something shining back there. I can't. Oh, I see it. I do see it, actually. Wouldn't describe it as shining, though. Oh my goodness. A save spot. I'm getting a lot of first aid kits. That makes me a little uncomfy. Just saying. York, do you know what a keyboard is? I don't think he knows how to use a keyboard. Yeah, you're just like... he's just grabbing at it, hoping something works. What a cool guy. Oh, you're precious. Alright. Let's get the key. Oh, sniffles. Ooh. Excuse me. Sleepies. York is very good. I'm giving him shit, but I do love him. I don't know that I would say cool. He's definitely precious. Thomas is still my favorite, though. Hands down, Thomas is the best character so far. Yeah, it's gonna be... Oh, never mind. I was gonna say it's locked. Nah, it's vined. I'm gonna start doing that when I go idle. Bitch got a shotgun! I am scared. I am scared. There are shotguns.
Huh?
York gives no fucks. He's just like, yeah, that's cool. Please, please, please. Ah! God, that was so loud! Oh, I didn't like that!
Great.
Oh, I was still recovering from that gunshot. That was so incredibly loud. Like, genuinely spooked me. Oh, I was scared. Can I skip this? Is there a way to skip this? 100% was ignoring my my settings. I was like, you know what? She wanted to turn it down. She didn't want to hear what was happening. She gonna hear. And I didn't appreciate it. Oh my god. That was the thing. I don't think that shot hit me. Like, the first one that I heard, it might have, but like, dear God. Oof.
Huh?
Okay, York. Let me assume control. Buddy.
Great. Amazing.
Well, hello, Jody. Thank you for the lurk. I hope your coffee kicks in soon.
Yes.
I'm just over here getting shot by zombies with shotguns. When do I get a shotgun? That's the real question. He appears to have dropped his shotgun. Oh no, and it's vanished now. Are there any more shotgun zombies? I did get some shotgun shells. It's not? It is, but it's not. It's a game, that's for sure. Those faces, though. Potato! It's an everything
Agent
game.
Morgan,
It's definitely
if you're
trying
so
to be an
desperate,
everything
why
game.
not smoke two at once?
Hey, pot of emotes. They're just there. They had to have some kind of combat, right? That's a super fancy chair. Sir, is that... I don't want to be rude.
Who's that old man?
Is he wearing, like,
That's
a full
Harry.
face mask?
Harry Stewart.
Or...
One of the bigger problems around here. His father started up the lumber trade.
Or
founded
is
this
that
town.
his face?
But he's a weird one, as I'm
No,
sure
that's
he is.
definitely a mask. Okay.
Always dressed like that.
Okay.
Never speaking to the townsfolk. And just FYI, he owns almost the entire town.
Well, if he owns the town, he doesn't have to talk to anybody. That's how it works.
Not that that makes any difference. So long as I'm around, he won't be getting away with any funny business.
I'm pretty sure he's just fucking living his best life. Cowboy's the sheriff. Hi, Harry Stewart. Mysterious capitalist. Yeah, alright, dude.
Mr. Francis York Morgan.
Who are
Haste
you?
won't lead you to what you seek. Keep your eyes focused on your footing as we speak. So says Mr. Stewart.
Michael Tillotson. Tilliston?
Nice to meet you too.
Tillotson?
How did you know my name?
Is this why you like him? Because he speaks in rhyming riddles?
Mr. Francis York Morgan, information desires you, just
no.
as you desire information too. So says Mr. Stewart.
Do we have to?
Harry, stop trying to get in our way. Keep this up, and even you'll have to answer to the law.
I don't think he's getting in our way.
Mr. Francis York Morgan, with each rain our town goes mad. To our disdain, unpreventable. So sad.
I'm also just
So
getting
says
flashbacks
Mr.
to like
Stewart.
heavy rain,
Thanks for
mostly
the
just this whole
Then
obsession
we shall
with the
depart,
rain thing.
Mr. Francis York Morgan.
Imagine being this man's assistant. No thank you. Again, Emily is just fed up with
That's how
literally
he always is.
everyone.
Always spouting that nonsense. Don't give it any thought. It's all gibberish.
Emily here. Uh-huh. Oh. Okay, thank you, Thomas.
Thomas!
Agent York, we've contacted the first witnesses to the crime scene.
I don't want to
You
talk
can
to the
interview
children.
them where they found the dead body.
Excellent.
Chil-
I was just about to ask if you could take me there.
I don't want to talk to the kids. They're just gonna be like, I saw a ladybug. It was neat. Let's go. Harry wouldn't appreciate it. No freestyling. No adding your own flavor to it. Just what I say. All right, let's go. Smallmouth bass. Do you just eat the fucking
The
fish
body was
raw?
found in the Greenvale Forest Park. That's west from here, and too far to walk.
Fucking watch me. I will
It's
walk
the pride
there.
of the town. It has a beautiful trail leading to a viewing site over Velvet Falls.
That does sound fantastic. Show me the sights.
That may have to wait.
I get it though. I
we
do
promised to be there
fidget
by
with
1800 to interview the first witnesses to
upper
the crime
chest
scene.
area when I'm just idling. I do understand. What's this? Oh, you're getting mad at me. Okay. Agent Morgan, why do you want to go back in there? I'll go with you. I just saw a big arrow and I needed to see what it was. Okay, hop off my cock. Fucking George. I'm enjoying a stroll around your stupid town.
Agent
Gonna leave a
Morgan,
terrible Yelp review
if
of
I
this
could just
place.
give you a friendly warning.
Are you really upset about me taking over the case?
Yes. Yes, he is.
I have the authority approved by the FBI to assume command. I understand you don't like it, but you will follow my orders.
I'm not disputing FBI authority, but this is our town. You won't get far alone, and you gain nothing by antagonizing me.
Which is why I told you that I need your
I just do things
assistance.
my way.
Jesus.
I can take you off the case if you wish.
Stop it, you two. We need to solve this case, not bicker among ourselves.
Fucking tell him that, Emily! His dumbass smile, though. Seriously, though, tell him to just fucking hop off. I thought I was being cordial this whole time, but apparently Mr. Country fucking capo over here is just angry all the time. I'm going the wrong way. We're taking the scenic route. Oh. Oh! You know what? What are they gonna do? Tell me I can't come up here? Too bad. Oh, I don't think I should be up here, actually. Can I break this fence? I can. Beautiful. But yeah, what are they gonna do? Throw me in the jail? Fucking go for it. I will fight y'all. Oh, bouncy car. Oh, my issue with the Moovel was mostly that... Oh, that's a race. I don't want to do that. It was mostly that, like, I would look at A or S to, like, go turn, and then I'd whip around. This is the same issue I had with Cyberpunk, in that I push and hold down the turn button, and he's just like, no, we will not. I think we're gonna continue to drive forward, and it's like, that's not great. I would like to turn. It's fine. It's always been GTA. Surprise. This game is wild and I love it. Oh goodness. Driving, not so much. Not a fan of the driving. But, it is what it is.
Anna's body was
Oh, let
discovered
me talk
by
to
the
Zach about
woodsman,
movies
Jim
then.
Green,
Oh my
along with his
god.
two grandchildren, Isaac and Isaiah.
What were they doing in the forest?
Just their daily routine. They found Anna's body during a morning walk.
So you've talked to them already?
Not officially. Not yet.
Not yet? Are you out of your mind? You haven't interviewed them yet?
Agent York, that tone is hardly appropriate.
I
We were
think
given
it's
orders
completely
to wait
appropriate.
for you to arrive.
Orders by who?
A man called Abrams from the FBI.
Robert, is it? Good old Bob Abrams. I did tell him to stay
Oh,
out of it.
Bob.
It's always tough to have a meddling boss, huh, Zach?
I thought you knew, Agent Morgan. Don't worry about it. We may not have taken official
Talk
statements,
about
but
cop
we got
stuff,
all the
the
information we
worst.
need. I can fill you in right now if you'd like.
Thanks, George, but that won't be necessary. I want to hear the details from the witnesses.
Wait, why is my
themselves.
car at 69%?
I just
Which also
can't believe that the
nice.
children had to witness the crime scene. They may be traumatized. You'd
No,
better do
those
this
kids.
carefully.
No,
Don't
no,
tell me you
Emily,
get
listen
nervous
here.
talking
Those
to
kids
children, Emily.
did
at
not
all.
give a
That's
shit.
not what I meant.
Then what did you mean?
Just forget it.
They do not care. They were busy dicking around with some ladybug. They don't care. It probably didn't even register to them that they were looking at a dead lady. Yeah. But I don't want to have to listen to the siren the entire time. I'm going a healthy 50, alright? I can't see shit past these trees! Oh my god. It's awful. I'm just like assuming I'm going the right way. I don't actually know how to get there. We're just going. 23, you say? Alright. I'll slow down. There you go. There's your 23 miles an hour. deadly premonition. We're here to solve crimes and drink coffee. But hey, Tara, how's it going? How are you doing? It's still too fast. Is this where I'm supposed to go? I don't think this is where I'm supposed to go. We're going here, though. Again, what are they gonna do? Stop me? My car might flip over. That's a little problematic. This is the graveyard. Oops. Well, hey, I'm getting some agent honor from going through here. We'll call it a shortcut, right? Look, it's just wide enough for my car. If they didn't want me to go here, they would have made it too small for me to drive through. I'm all out of coffee right now. It's okay. We'll get Polly to make us some more in the morning. It's a damn fine cup of coffee. My car is gonna explode here pretty soon, honestly. And that's not gonna be great. I got cops in here and they're gonna just get mad at me for no reason. Have they considered getting better cars? Hi, dear! I found some of the hills that melt my car. Definitely did. They're so jagged. It's so steep. Please, car. Please, car. I have not taken my finger off the W key. I need you to know. Car, we're almost there. Baby, you got this? Honey, you can do it. You got it. You can make it happen. Whoa, 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 not that fast. Yeah, that fancy defense budget. This place is a fucking backwater town. They don't need shit. They spent the entire budget on squirrel keychains. Oh boy. Alright, look, our thing is like right there. Our car's at 20%. No, that's too soon. I've turned too soon. Whatever, we're here. And we made it in one piece. Oof. Cool, we did it. We're here. It's fine. Oh.
Is this government land?
Goodness.
No, it's private. Owned by Harry.
This whole area?
Yeah, it's a horror game.
That's right. I'm sure I mentioned that he owns pretty much the whole town.
He used the money left by his father to buy up
I mean,
most
it
of the
is.
town.
I think Chappy Luck, David said earlier, it's an everything kind of game.
A rich man's personal playground. These country rich folk are amazing. It all looks very well kept, too.
It's a something game. It's a beautiful game so far. We're here for it. 100%
I'm FBI
here for
Special
it.
Agent Francis York Morgan. Please call me York. It's what everyone calls me.
No,
And
literally
you are
no one
Jim
calls
Green?
you that, York.
That I am, son. I keep these woods.
Life is beautiful. Angry Kazoo starts.
Well, you're doing a
I'm
fine
not
job.
looking forward to a
Well,
cooking
I used to be a
sim.
tree surgeon.
And
A
these
what
two
now?
discovered the body.
Yes, my grandchildren, Isaac and Isaiah.
Of course, there's a fishing mini game. Also, these fucking children. These children. His smile!
Zach, you see that? Twins. Just like in my dream.
Yeah, okay,
We gotta keep
okay,
an eye
York.
on these two.
I'm sorry. Could we talk away from the boys? I want to help your investigation, but I don't want them to hear this.
Absolutely use the children as
Emily,
fish bait. 100%.
I'll just take them over there then.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Absolutely.
Don't do anything
Will
without
do.
asking me. These children were the first to witness the crime scene.
I want to talk to them.
Come on, they're just kids. They have no idea what really happened to Anna.
That
doesn't matter.
If he makes himself wide enough,
How heartless.
maybe he'll put York
Do you
off.
ever think of other people's feelings, ever?
Emily's right. That's stone cold, even for the sake of investigation.
Got a kitty
Children
cat
see things
under
in
the desk,
pure,
nibbling on my
simple
toes.
terms.
Can you not?
They may have seen something we adults would never spot. And
Like
they
a
are here at our
ladybug.
request as well. We could at least chat with them and see if they want to make a statement.
Are you serious?
They're like
I never
5,
joke
my
about
dude.
matters like this.
Oh my god.
Don't worry. They aren't as fragile as you think. Look at them, standing so upright there.
Look at them, plotting, scheming.
Now then, Isaac, Isaiah, tell me, what did you find here?
Anna, she was so pretty.
She had a red dress on.
Her hair was shining.
Bright gold hair.
There were lots of animals around her.
Squirrel, weasel, and a snake. A real snake.
I keep
We
thinking
didn't
those
know
exclamation points are like
until then, but
slashes.
We know now.
Anna was the fairy of the forest.
She was a goddess.
She smiled when she saw us.
She looked so happy.
That's right, Isaac. Isaiah. She was a fairy. A goddess.
Someone has to explain
I'm
what
sure
death
she's
is to
playing with
these
those
fucking
animals even now.
kids.
Of course she is.
Yeah, of course.
Most useful information, boys. Well, Emily, you can take them now.
Somebody has to explain to these children what death is.
Okay, Zach. This is where Anna's body was.
They're gonna grow up
That
and
means
they're
our
gonna be
own
like
son.
23, 24,
Our unknown
hanging
subject
out
was
with
here
like
too.
their partner or some shit, or not. Just
happened
playing video games, and they're gonna sit there and be like, oh fuck, I was 5 years old and that was a dead chick in the tree. And it's gonna haunt them for forever. Somebody needs to explain this to them now. Don't hide the concept of death from your kids. Just fucking explain it to them. That is, I mean, if I'm driving. No, death just fairies. Okay, but again, like I don't think you were here for it earlier, but I was ranting about fairies earlier. Fairies
That's
aren't great
something
either.
strange.
They're fucking terrifying.
More clues.
Just put them in the car with York generally. We can take the back road. It's fine. Also, there's a bone over here. I'm wearing my poncho! My stupid FBI poncho. Also, there's a trading card over here somewhere. I want you? Don't mind me, guys. Casually shooting a bird's nest. Where did it go? Huh? Anagram. Kids don't need to worry about it, honestly. It's fine. They'll be fine. I do like there are just random places to just crash for the night. Excuse me. FBI is a professional agency. Also, the FBI shooting a bird nest for rare collectible cards. You gotta catch them all. I've played Pokemon. There's nothing up here. Actually, yes there is. I cannot steel pipe that out of a tree. Got chip with rusted metal dust. Alright. No, I don't need to profile. We'll profile in a minute, alright? I know I said I was gonna do each and every one of those. I'm not. I just want that dang arm bone! You will be mine, Bone. I will catch you. Break, 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 break. can of pickles. It's a good poncho, right? A very good poncho. I'm sorry, is this just a never-ending supply of the pickles? It is! No, it's not. Yes, it is! Can't keep this item anymore. Should clean up my inventory. York? You can't tell me what to do. If you can add a pocket to your fucking blazer every time you get a new set of seeds, I'm pretty sure that you can... But I want the arm. I need the bones. Whatever. Whatever. Let's observe. Zach, look! The depression on the grass. I think we have a clue. 2 bent pieces of grass. Do you mean a footprint? I think you're trying to describe a footprint. Wowee. Not dropping everything. I have to hold on to everything. Picture of a vest with holes. I know I'm still missing one, but just for good measure. Slightly bent grass! Must be a clue. Even Harry could get that right. Debatable.
Oh no.
Ow! Crap! Jeez. I hate this. Why did it come to this?
Okay. Alright. Alright, look here. George. Where's the old man? George! Hey, bud.
As you
It's true,
requested,
Harry
we have
is good
permission
at
to stay and look
footprints.
around as needed. But what are you planning on doing?
To examine the scene, of course. Basic crime
Of
investigation
course.
101. We might uncover some further evidence.
My men have covered this already. I seriously doubt that there is anything else to find.
I mean,
Well,
I've already
you
found a
and
bunch
Emily
of
can wait in
things,
the
so.
car if that's the case. But I'll take my time here.
Oh boy. Is there anything else for me to shoot? Is there anything hiding under here? No? Aha! We must maintain the integrity of the crime scene. Pow! It's fine. Missing piece of a pinheel shoe. Do you mean a stiletto? I think you mean stiletto.
Haven't
What just
seen one of
happened?
these in a
What is
long time.
happening?
It's upside down. I guess this is meant to be.
Everything is black.
anti-descent.
I can't see anything.
These holes on the ground were made by high stiletto heels all around here. And this depression.
I can't change
Here?
scenes.
Agent
I also
Morgan?
can't see chat.
I see what happened here.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay, okay, I can see you guys now. I think the game is frozen. I think the game just like crashed on me. Please. Please. Game. Hey, game. I can move the window. Are you guys still there? I can't. Oh boy, what's happening? Hold on. Oh, okay, okay. OBS is caught back up. Yeah, I can only see George's hands. What the fuck? Discord's tripping. Okay, let's just get rid of literally everything I don't need at the moment. Game's still up, is the thing. It's broke though. Fuck. Okay. I'm gonna exit that. Let's relaunch. I would like to. Oh my god. It didn't. We haven't saved since we got to the crime scene though, have we? I don't want to have to drive all the way back there. I don't want to have to drive all the way back there. Right? We only just barely made it. Please. Game. I need you to, like, be kind to me. Okay?
Previously during the investigation.
Oh,
These
this is
puppies
nice.
are making me go to another town in the boondocks again.
I didn't think you'd keep me waiting in the rain for so long.
Welcome.
They give you a recap?
George Woodman. Call me George.
There's definitely something in this town. Do you feel it, Zach? My coffee warned me about it.
FK. In the coffee. Please, 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 no.
The body was found in the Greenvale Forest Park. That's west from here. Too far to walk.
A forest park?
It's the pride of the town. It has a beautiful trail leading to a viewing site over Velvet Falls.
That does sound fantastic. Show me the sights.
That may have to wait. We promised to be there by 1800 to interview the first witnesses to the crime scene.
Here's the thing. I don't know how
Agent
the
Morgan,
fuck I got there.
If I could just give you a friendly warning.
Are you really upset about me taking over the case?
I don't know how I got there.
I have the authority approved by the FBI to assume
I
command.
mean, I know I went through the
I
graveyard,
understand you don't like it.
but I only
you
know
will
that
follow
because
my
Fruity
orders.
said I went through the graveyard.
I'm not disputing FBI.
I don't know how to
authority,
get to the graveyard
but This is
though.
our town. You won't get far alone, and you gain nothing by antagonizing me.
It's part of my...
Let's just okay. Let's Let's go, shall we? Oh, I mean, it's fine. I like the fact that the map is as big as it is. But
Anna's
at the same
body was
time,
discovered by the woodsman Jim
I need a
Green,
better
along with his two
means
grandchildren, Isaac and Isaiah.
of getting where I need
Just
to go.
their daily routine.
You know?
They found Anna's body during a morning walk.
So you've talked to them all.
Also, if my
Not
camera could
officially.
stop just whipping
Not
around
yet.
when I go to turn a little bit.
Are you out of your mind? You haven't interviewed them yet?
The man is
Agent
shaped
York,
like a
that term is
dog.
hardly appropriate. We were given orders to wait for you to arrive.
Orders by who?
A man called Abrams from the FBI.
Robert, is it?
Oh, map.
No,
Why did
Bob
I?
Abrams. I did tell him
Why
to
did
stay
I
out
read
of
that as
It's
man?
always tough to have a meddling boss, huh, Zach?
I thought you knew, Agent Morgan. Don't worry about it. We may not have taken official statements, but we got all the information
was
we
planned.
need.
They
I can
planned
fill
it
you in
that
right now
way.
if you'd like.
Thanks, George, but that won't be necessary. I want to hear the details from the witnesses themselves. Firsthand.
Forged dog
Just can't
humans
believe that the
facts
children had to
though.
witness the crime scene. They
Dang.
may be traumatized.
Can't
You
get
better
away
do
from
this
those
carefully.
forged dog
Tell me
humans.
you get nervous talking to children, Emily.
Not at all. That's not what I meant.
Then what did you mean?
Ah, just forget it.
I don't want to. I think this is the way that I went. No. Yes? No. No. This is. No! Yeah! It might have been. detour. Game, why did you crash? This is a dead end! You motherfuckers! Oh no. Oh, it's fine. My car's not gonna make it. It's not looking good. I do remember the bridge. I think. Did I turn here? No. Car, what are you doing? I'm gonna need y'all to wait for 2 seconds. There is a trading card.
If you're wandering off, then we'll go on ahead. We don't have time to mess around.
Okay.
Literally, you are wasting more time by talking to this
1800 to talk with the witnesses to the crime scene, okay?
Thank you for the beautiful clip. I love it. I'm here for it. Our poor car. Raging bull? Alright. Okay. Sure. I don't know how to go where I'm supposed to go. I don't know where I am. This is not the way we went last time. That's all I know. This all looks inaccessible. No, that's definitely a road. Okay. I don't know that my car's gonna make it, though.
Speaking of 80s movies, one jewel in the rough springs to mind. Deadly Spawn. Do you remember that one, Zach?
Back in '83.
I don't remember
Directed by Douglas
that one.
McKeown. Right. It was filmed pretty cheap, but still, it was pretty good.
I mean, it's the 80s.
monster
Everything
design
was
with
filmed
the
pretty
mouth
cheap.
crammed full of teeth. I loved it. So many delicious B-movie cliches. Did you know that they made a
Delicious?
sequel? But I never got to see the sequel. The rental store didn't have it for some reason.
Train
They
tracks?
said the staff for the sequel was totally different from the original. I wonder how the sequel turned out. You know, the monster in that one responded to sound.
Wait, Zach. Sounds a lot like the movie Tremors.
I think that one was back in '89, directed by Ron Underwood. Now that was a great role for Kevin Bacon.
I know where we are.
Zach, that one had sequels like crazy. I remember there was a fourth one. I've only seen the first one, though.
Are we ready? Are we ready? I needed that fence to not dock like 5% off of my health. I need to stop hitting the walls. I don't want to go walking. I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't got the cops with me this time. But that's so far away. My car's not gonna make it. This is gonna be bad. This is bad. This is bad. Oh no. Please, car. I do like the random floating deer. That's pretty great. What are you getting stuck on? Car, come on. Oh, it's the bad hill. I don't want to like launch myself. Okay, okay, alright. We did it good. Kinda. Also, I do like that it... yeah, just feather the siren. I do like that, like, using sprint for the car actually uses York's stamina. As if he's, like, having to, like, pump the gas a whole ton. Hey, look, we've gotten through with more gas this time. That's pretty cool. I'm so scared that I'm gonna get there and we're gonna get to the Premonition again, or like the profiling, and it's just gonna crash. I don't. Please don't do that. Oh, but there is a phone over here. No, don't send me away! Gets too excited with the siren on. No! Should have gotten out before I hit the green. Fucking hell.
Now then, Isaiah, tell me.
What are you
did you find
doing?
here?
Emily, what is wrong with your legs?
Pretty. She had a red dress on. Her hair was shining. Bright gold hair. There were lots of animals around her.
It's fine.
Squirrels, weasels, and a snake. A real snake.
We didn't know until then.
Yeah,
But
the car
we
was
know
like, no
now.
save,
Anna
only
was
play.
a fairy of the forest. She
That's a
was
problem.
goddess. She smiled when she saw us.
She looked so happy.
That's right, Isaiah.
Yes.
She was a fairy. A goddess. I'm sure she is playing with those animals even now.
Of course she is.
Yeah, of course.
Oof.
Most useful information.
Okay, let's... Please.
So, what happened here?
Things. Stuff. I want this lighter that says no smoking on it. Let's just skip that. You're not even blowing anything! Your mouth
Zach,
isn't
something
even
is still
open.
missing.
Bud. Friend. Surprise poncho. Alright, where are our lovely little nests? Where the hell is my site? There. Okay, there's one. Boop. And boop. Maybe if I don't fill up on pickles, we'll be fine. You know? Missing piece of pinheel shoe. I just wanna get through this profiling so I can save. Yeah, it's fine. Looks like a sky to me. No problems here. The pickle brand pickles. I'm not gonna profile yet, okay? Alright, buddy? Try all you might, it's not happening. Let's see, observe. 2 bent pieces of grass. Oh, I'm very scared for this last one. Game, I need you to not fail on me this time, okay? Alright. Let's go. I just want to get to the next save point, and then we'll call it there. Because it is time. Alright. I'm scared to watch it all, though.
Haven't seen one of these in a long time. It's upside down. I guess this is meant to be an anti-peace sentiment, then.
These holes on the ground were made by high stiletto heels all around here. And this depression here, Agent Morgan, I see what happened here. He hung her from the tree and put on her shoes.
Why are you suddenly so quiet?
Enjoying it. Sicko. And he knelt down.
Disgusting! Sorry.
George, you certainly have a vivid
Gotta lighten the mood
imagination.
lighten the mood
An
somehow,
interesting
right?
theory. Don't you think, Zach?
What was his name again? That Hollywood producer.
Which one?
That's right. Joel. We really ought to introduce George to him, Zach.
Profiling is a little different from writing a screenplay, though. An idea being interesting doesn't make it fact.
I'm just
Let
glad
me
the
enlighten
scene's
you,
working.
The footprints
Knock on wood.
reveal that one of the heels were missing from the shoes. And they're different from Anna's shoes that we saw at the office. Furthermore, there would be even more disgusting evidence if he did kneel and, well, do as you suggested.
Dang.
If you want proof, go ahead and try it for yourself.
No!
He knelt here for a reason other than simple perversion.
Zach, what was he doing in front of Anna?
Profiling start. Saying a little prayer? I don't know.
Ow! Crap! Jeez! I hate this. Why did it come to this?
Oh, dang!
Now I get it. He was kneeling to pray in front of her. Just like the twins said. She was a goddess. And so, our unknown subject.
It's fine,
offered
don't worry
prayers
about
to
it.
Anna's body. Its bitten out tongue and massive body wound. Once dead, Anna was transformed from an object
I should be a cool guy in a
despite
bright red
into
suit.
one
I don't know that I could pull off a bright red
So,
suit.
Who is Miss Stiletto?
Not who am I kidding? I'd be able to pull off a bright red
Steps
suit.
are
Let's fucking
close,
go.
Coming up to the body, and then farther apart going
Let's
away.
fucking go.
There was a reason to hurry away then.
That settles it then, George.
Magic.
Miss Stiletto here
FBI
is a
magic.
third
That's
party here.
how.
She's not the murderer. No one runs away from an object of worship. She could be another victim who was with Anna. Or perhaps an accomplice who fled for some reason.
Oh my god, I'm so sleepy.
She
Stop.
is also one who took whatever it was Anna was holding on to in her hand.
But why? Why did she leave her here?
His two spells are
Only
work
Miss
everything
Stiletto
out
knows
and
the reason for that.
poncho.
She might know something about the man with the
Oh,
reversed peace
no.
mark, too.
Hey, no one said the deadly premonition
How
was
many
gonna make
women
sense.
wear high stiletto heels in this town, do you think?
I mean, probably a lot
I
of
should
them.
think most of them have at least one pair. I do too, before you ask. But nobody would come all the way out here wearing them, except maybe one
I
person.
would. I have. I've gone running around in
Don't keep me in the dark now. Who might this
in
elegant
nature
lady be?
with heels on.
Diane, the owner of the art gallery. But she's out of town for a big art auction.
I've made choices
I heard she'll be
before.
coming back in a couple days.
Then we'll just have to give her a warm welcome home. A more immediate matter, then. Where in town can you find something like this? It should be a building that isn't used anymore, with either a lot of metal or metal machinery or something like
Because
that.
that's what makes it
The old
endearing,
lumber
right?
mill.
His
It's
face.
time to really get this show on the road. Could you
York,
guide
what are
me
you
to
doing?
this perfect setting for extravagant murder?
York, what are you doing? Okay. Alright, buddy. Is that a save spot? It is! Thank God. Aw, dang! Yes, I would like to save.
The lumber mill is...
I will say this.
I'm gonna skip because we will watch all this when we get back to the game the next time. Hold on. Oh my god. I love that my hotkeys don't fucking work when I'm in game. That's a favorite of mine. So that's the first couple hours, Deadly Premonition. Hey! I really do like it. It's weird and wacky and delightful. It's it's an experience. I can't say it's living up to my expectations because I had none. Outside of it being very Twin Peaks-esque, and it is very Twin Peaks-esque. Oh, hey, internet, why are you dropping? Hey, internet? Hey, interwebs. What are you doing? Why are we having this issue right now? Okay, hopefully it's back. I don't know what the hell that was about. Oh, it's Steam deciding it needs to download something all of a sudden. Steam, chill. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, so I can't say it's living up to my expectations only because I didn't really have any, but I'm loving it and I'm very excited to continue to play. But we are gonna have to wait until next Monday, to continue, which is fine. That's fine. I know we talked during the earlier stream about me doing the Goth stream this Friday. I think I am going to postpone it until next Friday, when I will have everything that I need for it. But I'm very excited for that. It will happen very soon, but we'll do that for our indie stuff, like I said, a week from Friday. So that'll be a thing. It'll be great. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. Let's go ahead and set up a raid. Let's go say hi to a friend. Who are we gonna hang out with today? Let me pull Twitch up so I can actually see, like, who's online. But if anyone's got suggestions, I'm here for it. Let's see. Cyril is playing some Night in the Woods. The .com's doing some Super Smash Bros. Nogi's doing Final Fantasy XIV. Curls Rock's doing some Stardew. Alexis Rambles is playing some Hollow Knight. Suvius is doing Chernobylite. Yeah, that's everyone that I currently have online. Any of those sound good? Does anybody have any suggestions? I'm of the mind that we go hang out with Cyril or Nogi. We haven't said hi to Nogi in a hot second. And also Cyril was here earlier and I adored her. Yeah. Lurking in Cyril and Alexis's. Let's go say hi to Cyril. Yeah, let's go say hey. Let's be like, hey. Now, if you are gonna raid with us, there is a regular message that you can copy paste. Otherwise, there is our message if you are a sub. Boop. Oh, you wanted to do Hollow Knight? I would highly recommend going checking out Alexis Rambles. They're delightful and super fun, and I think she's been doing Hollow Knight a lot lately. Yeah, we're gonna go say hi to Cyril. It's gonna be great. It'll be super fun. But yeah, I'll be back on Friday. I don't know what, or Friday morning we're gonna do Luigi's Mansion. Friday, I did see that what Pun was doing some Hollow Knight. That was precious and I loved it. Yeah, Friday morning we're gonna do. Shh, I'm just going in there already. Luigi's Mansion, and then we'll do indie stuff that evening. I will see y'all later. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining this super wacky weird game with me. I love y'all. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, night, time zone. Yeah.